The notion of diversity and transformation isn't, I think in the past, and where it fell flat, it was seen as this feel-good altruistic thing. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a business imperative, right? So one of the greatest things on that point is, if you look at your client base, if you're a service provider of any kind, if you look at your client base, they are diverse. Your clients are diverse.
Yes.
So if you're going to keep a lily-white male-only environment, you're going to struggle to even connect with potential clients, current clients, decision makers at your clients. So diversity is long past the point of being, it's the right thing to do, guys. Come on. It's not what it's about here. There's a commercial imperative. And so for me, if leaders aren't seeing that, for me, it talks about a lack of sustainability in your thinking about your business. This is not a feel-good story. This is how you survive long-term as a business in this country.
And especially in banking. I mean, it used to be like, who are the top banks in South Africa? And you like rattled them off, right? Now, when you think about the top banks in South Africa, you got to ask, in what space,
what are you
doing what?
Yeah.
Can we include the fintechs here because they're really good in this thing? And well, if we're just talking retail, some of the retailers have got licenses to be able to do, remittance, their remittance business and this and that and that. I mean, the competition, everybody's 100%. Coming for that same lunch.
Which means that you've allowed the diversity to kind of create a bigger space for everyone to be a part of, right? I want to know how much of it is also linked to, for lack of a better term, ignorance. In the sense that, as you noted, we just say, just bring it to work. But you don't actually understand the complexities. When I was younger, for example, I would go to my mother's office as well. And they were just like, oh no, we've got a room specially for kids. But there's nothing in the room. Not even a crayon, not a pencil, not a book. It's literally just 4 walls and a couch. What are kids doing in there? You know what I'm saying? And it still goes back to the defined culture of being a parent, of being, even if it's a single and only parent, whatever the case might be. Claire, do you have insight on that perhaps? Like, do people give you a sense of making you understand or helping you understand why it is that it may just be something they have to see first before they realize, actually, what about the full context of this experience?
Well, as I said, I mean, I think a lot of people have stayed in their little bubbles for a long time because it's been allowed.
The way it is.
Yeah, it's been fine to just rattle off in a room of the same looking, sounding, feeling, whatever people. And yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, Itu, around it's an imperative, because I do think a lot of those businesses aren't surviving. And I suppose also the other thing is that at the end of the day, you can have diversity, but if you can't harness diversity, if you don't know how to engage it and really, as you say, like make the space, hold the space, then it's pointless. Then it's just fronting, So, so I think a lot of people just feel as though they need to take this next step, and perhaps before they didn't. I don't know. I also think social media does play a big role, because I think younger people are having an opportunity to really speak out what they feel is important.
So they're having a bigger say, so to speak, even in the corporate world before they even get there.
Yes.
And that's kind of how you harness the diversity, surely.
Making the space to speak.
Yeah. Right? So, I mean, I would certainly hope so.
Without a doubt. And it's being fearless about it. So one of the things for me, to answer your previous question, I think people are scared. I honestly believe there's a fundamental fear around, if I open this can, like I can't like once the genie's out, I can't put it back in the lamp. So people are kind of going, let's just pretend everything's cool. Let's just smile, just smile and wave. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and hope we don't live in the age of cancel culture.
Yeah, let me just chill. Like, I don't want to misstep, so I'm just gonna stay. Whereas I think, and again, it's around that space, and there's like a two-way contracting that has to happen. So even when a leader holds that space, we must be clear that the leader can err. Right? So I'll use myself as the example. So if I'm holding a space and there's specific topics that women that I work with are bringing up, I want to engage with it. So I don't want to go, oh, it's a female issue, so I'm going to step back. You guys deal with it. I want to engage with it, but I will say up front that I made a mistake, because I have my own lens as a man, and I accept that. And so you have to also then be open to being challenged in a way that you can grow. Right? But I do think that often fear plays a part. And then the other thing that plays a part is, as human beings, for the longest time, we enjoy our echo chambers. right? Confirmation bias is a real thing. You like spaces where what you think other people agree with feels smart.
Exactly what Claire noted.
You know, so you wanna, so to break that is also difficult at a human behavior level. To go, I'm gonna put myself in a space where my fundamental belief may be questioned, and I'm gonna be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like that for people feels a little bit difficult, right?
For me, I think it's two things. A year ago, I would have said to leaders, talk to your people more, go and listen to your employees, go and get on the ground. And I think now I would say, don't do that. Honestly, I would say that. I would say, step back, go within, reflect, and actually do the work. I think that's where the first thing that I would say for leadership is it's not about connecting with 1 million people. For me, I think it's about really acknowledging and going in and being okay, what is my story? Where do I come from? What we were talking about earlier, what's my patterns? What are my triggers? What are my biases? And then the other thing that I would say, especially for businesses is, and it's actually something that Wayne Divinage said from Outer, he said, we really need to understand that measurement is changing. And if we're not measuring those things, then it doesn't matter to us. If we can't measure what diversity means or whatever, humanity, what that means to your organization, if you don't have those measurements, no one's going to care. So you need to implement that stuff. It can't just be about money anymore. It has to be environmental, human, it has to be the full package.
Yeah.
I agree with what's been said, or what I can add to that is culture is everything. And I think if you want to deal with these issues, start by looking at the culture of your organization. Understand whether it's an enabling culture. Understand whether it gives people the opportunity and safety to come forward to speak their minds. Because that's, for me, if we're going to hold leaders accountable, it's the culture of our own organization, because they set the tone. And I think if we can get that right as leaders, not have the answer to how to solve diversity, but rather create the culture and context and allow people then to come forward with that. If you can get that right, a culture audit. Have as much as you do the journey within yourself, have the journey within your organization and understand that culture for what it is, not for what you say it is, not for what the plaques say on the wall, for what it truly is. And if you can understand that and make those shifts, I think you'll get the impact you're looking for.
Folks, thank you so much for this. I really, really appreciate it. I think a well worth engaging discussion that we've now certainly had. One that I think not just entities, but everyone can look back on and say, are we actually attending to the culture changes that have been brought about through not just the pandemic, but the ever-changing society we live in? Remember that it's not just an end goal that we reach in a particular set of years, but one that continues to alter and change because of the way people have altered and changed. We cannot continue to do things the same way we have for the longest time. But what we can do is take advantage of where we are right now and build from all of that. A big thank you as well then to Investec for your business, for helping us encourage, grow, and learn to diversify as much as possible. Remember that this is business made human.